Well, hello and welcome for the second upload of the day, where Prince Harry made a surprise appearance at a venture capital event on Thursday, speaking to a crowd at the Upfront Summit in Los Angeles. So we have a lot to get into, so settle in. So the article here says, the Duke of Sussex began his remarks by acknowledging the crowd's shock at his unannounced presence at the event, but he promised he had something important to say. Quote, "I'm here to talk about something that I believe will resonate with all of you as leaders, creators, builders, and change makers. How do we invest in our shared future to solve the challenges we face today as a divided society?" End quote. Harry asked the audience. So we have a clip here. Take a watch.
And change makers. How do we invest in our shared future to solve the challenges we face today as a divided society? Now, as a dad, this has me constantly looking for solutions. And as a man who was born into a life of service, I recognize that with power and a platform comes huge responsibility. And these days, I am determined to find and invest in solutions.
As you saw him there saying, as a dad, he said that it makes him constantly look for solutions. And he also mentioned that he was a man born into a life of service, saying, quote, "I recognize that with power and a platform comes responsibility," end quote. So Harry noted that his royal upbringing gives him a unique apolitical perspective on most subjects. He even said he wasn't ever allowed to vote, end quote, he joked. He explained that service to others has always been his main keystone when attempting to build a better world. Quote, "That's true from Nigeria to Nepal, from Sydney to Santa Barbara. It's the same approach I've taken in founding charities like the Invictus Games Foundation back in 2014 that supports and rehabilitates wounded and injured service personnel and veterans through sport," end quote. Also talking about his work in digital safety and education space. So the Duke of Sussex continued, quote, "The way that I answer the question of how we invest in our shared future is different now living in the US to when I was living in the UK. Why? Because before I moved, so much of my life revolved around charity. Since then, while my charities remain a core part of my life's work, I've also been focusing on upstream solutions and prevention, driven by decisions and investments that address problems before they require fixing. Still, I've approached everything in my life through the lens of service," end quote. He added, quote, "I'm not one to be caught in the divide between left or right views, not cornered by a belief in blue or red." And then this is where he talked about voting, saying, quote, "I've never even been allowed to vote," end quote. Quote, "From my institutional role, traveling the world, to my decade of duties in the military, I saw the power of serving others firsthand. My personal experiences overseas taught me that when you put others first, you build stronger, more sustainable systems. And that's true from Nigeria to Nepal and from Sydney to Santa Barbara," end quote. So Prince Harry also had a good time quipping, assuring the crowd that he had not, quote, "wandered into the wrong room," end quote, pivoting to a discussion about how individuals and companies alike can invest in, quote, "companies that are developing technological solutions to address the root causes of societal challenges," end quote. So he also spoke about the last 5 years, sometimes publicly but primarily quietly. He has invested in companies that align with his values and visions of a better tomorrow, companies that understand the power and significance of service, end quote. And he also talked about him being very committed to causes supporting early education to veteran employment. So he went on to say, quote, "In a world where technology is more embedded in our lives than ever before, it's easy to forget the human aspect of it," end quote. He continued, quote, "I've seen firsthand how technology can bring people together, but more often how it can divide and harm them, especially children. And if we aren't prioritizing the safety of our children, what does that say about the very industry that is shaping our world? End quote. So Harry's also spoke about the future he sees, companies that are designed not just for profit, but for an investment in a better future. Now, after this, Harry joined Mark Suster, managing partner at Upfront Ventures, for a Q&A. The conversation ranged from a deeper discussion about service, leadership, and Harry's military background to more lighthearted, rapid-fire personal questions. And while we don't have those clips as yet, so keep it here. When I get them, I will be sure to share. But for now, those are the highlights of Prince Harry making a surprise appearance and stunning the crowd as he turned up for this event in Los Angeles, the Upfront Summit. So look at that. The Duke of Sussex booked and busy. And this is just shortly after the Invictus Games where we saw him truly putting in the work. And look at that. Straight back into work. Truly a life of service. So I'm happy to bring you this update. Share your thoughts with me on this news in the comment section below. As always, before we log off, allow me here to thank those of you who support this channel financially and shout out a couple of you here by name. A very special thank you to you, Martha Jones. Thank you for making a significant impact through your support, your kindness and generosity. You mean so much to me. I love and value you. God bless you. Thank you. A very special thank you as well to you, Alma Andrews, who once again has been such a tremendous blessing to all of us here on this channel. Thank you for going above and beyond in showing your care and always making meaningful contributions towards this channel. I'm profoundly grateful for your love, and I love you. Once again, thank you to all who support this channel financially. Thank you for watching. If you like this update, thumbs up, click subscribe. It helps out the channel. And also follow on social media. Links will be in the pinned comment and in the description bar. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a blessed one.
And change makers. How do we invest in our shared future to solve the challenges we face today as a divided society? Now, as a dad, this has me constantly looking for solutions. And as a man who was born into a life of service, I recognize that with power and a platform comes huge responsibility. And these days, I am determined to find and invest in solutions.